What's up, you guys? Today on the podcast, we have Niko Traubman, young, up-and-coming grommet, surfer, skateboarder, snake wrangler turned into young man. Nice young man. What he does is he talks about his path from modeling, surfing, skateboarding into addiction, alcoholism, how he faced himself and changed, made those changes. He also talks about the struggles youth is going through and the struggles parents are going through in regards to their children. So check it out. Let us know what you think. Yeah. No, I know. I like clearing my mind away from other humans.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I'm going to go surf. I mean, there's so many things with surfing. They did this test. They had this machine where you can you can read people's aura or energy field, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you could see the things that get stuck to it, like the distortions that come, like it's vibrating. And so they did this test where like they had someone go in a room with a bunch of people and come out and their energy field was like all distorted, right? And then they had this person go take a shower, just a normal shower. And he came back and it was a little bit cleaner. There was still some stuff happening. Then they had the same person go into a room with all the people, come out with all the distortions, and then go in the ocean. Whoa. And when they went in the ocean and came back out, perfectly clean, right?
Wow.
I think it probably has obviously something to do with
holy water.
Holy water, yeah. I mean, there's something about me and my wife. She'll just be like, I'll just be grumpy guy. You know what I mean? She's like, get in the car, takes me down here. I jump in the water. I come back out and I'm like, I start apologizing for shit right out of the gate. So I'm like, okay, I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry for this. I'm sorry for this. Like as soon as I get out of the water, everything's changed.
Cool. Yeah.
And animals too. It's like, so here's a cool question. It's like, animals are so awesome because like, you ever like to isolate?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Absolutely.
It's like, I want the whole world to leave me alone, get away from me. Why is it that when I want to push all the world away, I want my dog to come with me, or my dog can be there with me?
Yeah, I was just talking to my dad about how if you're ever in an uncomfortable situation, especially like if you're at like a party or like a big social gathering and you're just not really feeling super social, we were just saying dogs, just animals in general, are just the best little safety escape. You know, if I'm ever somewhere and I just don't know how to spark a conversation or I'm just over it, I always go straight towards the dog.
Towards the dog, you know? Totally, 100%.
It's just you and me, and they love you, and you know, they don't know how to speak English, so
yeah. Well, I learned that young when I liked a girl. I'm like, get to know her dog.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I'd go straight to the dog, and I had this little move where I'd like scratch under the dog's collar, and you could tell no one scratched there in a long time. The dog kind of looked at me like, this guy's awesome. I like him. And then the girl's like, he likes you so much, he doesn't like anybody else. I'm like, I know what I'm doing here. Yeah. But, you know, so like I go and Luna, my dog, can come in because I don't have to be any certain way. There's no judgment. Right?
Yeah,
the animal's
exactly.
just like I could cry, I can yell, and she's just like, I love you.
Mm-hmm.
What's that saying? Like, I'm trying hard to become the man my dog already thinks I am. You know what I mean? You ever heard that one?
No, I haven't, but that's amazing.
So she looks at me sometimes and I'm like, stop, I'm not that awesome. And she's just like,
yeah. They're, oh my God, they're so good. Safety blankets.
Here's another question, because you kind of know a lot about animals, is like, my wife has this whole thing where she's like, because we just moved and we had to leave our cat at our old place for 2 weeks because we're going out of town. She's like, he's mad at us. He's there and he's sitting there going, we're bad parents. I'm like, he's a cat. Like, he's not even going to know. Like, when we come back, he's going to be like, oh, there's those people. You know what I mean?
It's funny that humans believe that.
It's not true, huh?
Yeah, I mean, a cat's kind of, I mean, I know a dog. A dog would be freaking out.
Cats
I don't know. My
care.
cats don't really care. I love my cats so much.
I love my cats too. My cat is a killer. He is completely, I can't trust him. I don't know. You're petting him 1 second, he attacks me the next. And he brings animals in. And one time, I never forget. I mean, I love him that he's that way, but I was unrolling my yoga mat and I looked down and there was the head of an alligator lizard, like this huge head. And I was like, oh my God. And my wife was right here and I just freaking throw my yoga mat up in the air and I jumped. She screamed. I came down on my big toe, folded it underneath and broke my toe. Snapped it. I was like, oh
my gosh.
Lizard lands, runs under the couch. So the lizard's gone.
Oh, my
alligator
gosh.
lizard.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
no,
yeah.
no. This would happen. I saw it and I go to grab it. And normally when you grab a lizard, it's a small one is not strong enough to come back. This one,
alligator
I grabbed
lizards bite harder than snakes. Those things are vicious. I try to tell people that reptiles will never chase you. I tell everybody that. But alligator lizards, I have been chased down the block. Those things are
This guy
terrifying.
freaking bends up, comes, bites my hand. I'm like, that's what made me jump. I jump. I throw him in the air. My wife screams. Alligator lands, runs under the couch, so we didn't get the lizard. I break my toe. This is getting back to my cat, right? Okay, I break my toe. I'm like, oh, I'm holding my toe. My wife's screaming, and then I turn around, and my cat is on his little perch, licking his butthole and staring at me. Like, yeah, what's up? That's what I do.
Sounds like a cartoon.
That's what I do.
My
I'm like,
gosh.
dude. Anyways, enough about that. But so you grew up in Encinitas, and you surf. Like, tell us about your surfing. It's a big part of your life, right?
Yeah, I love surfing. I go through phases of being obsessed with surfing, and then I go through phases where I just kind of hate the sport. I have a kind of a black and white relationship, or not black and white, I guess, a conflicting relationship with surfing. But yeah, damn, I love surfing. I love the water, and I love being out there. I started surfing probably when I was 3 years old. When middle school hit, that's when I started competing. My parents said, if you're gonna... Well, yeah, my parents said you have to do one competitive sport. Doesn't matter what it is, as long as you show up to practice, do your competitions or your games or whatever. That's all we care about. You got to pick one thing. So, I've tried soccer, was horrible at that. Tried basketball, was even worse. God, I was so bad at
God, it seems like
basketball.
you'd be pretty good at it. You're tall and lanky there.
I don't know. I can dunk a tennis ball now, though.
On a real
live hoop.
Wow.
Yep. That's big accomplishment for me.
Yes, totally. 100%. I think I saw you posted that. No, just kidding. All right. I'd like to thank all my friends for supporting me and dunking this tennis ball that I've been working on.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, I was so bad at team sports.
But you were surfing while you were doing that? And you didn't put two and two together? This is what I want to do?
I did. I ended up, when I went to middle school, there was a surf team and surf PE. So I signed up for that, and that was kind of my thing for a little bit. I didn't like competing ever. It was just something I felt like I had to do, because I didn't want to do any other sports. So I was full just NSSA, WSA, SSS, all that good stuff. And I didn't like it at all. And I was so bad at it too. Like, I definitely know at the time I was good enough at the sport to make finals and, do well. But there was something about maybe it was the pressure, or my strategy was off, or I surfed different than other people. I mean, I lost a lot.
Yeah.
And I still did it all throughout, middle school and high school. I made a few finals, I think. But after I graduated high school, there was kind of nothing left to do. I didn't qualify for anything.
Right,
so
right.
I just kind of ended up becoming a free surfer, and kind of fell in love with the idea of potentially making it by making cool videos and going on surf trips. And that was the dream for me for a while. And I was sponsored here and there. I'd get a couple bucks from one brand, a couple bucks from another brand. But even when it came to free surfing, you would think it would be the easiest job in the world. And I had so much potential and so many offers, but the grind to show because it's all about social media these days. I failed at that. I mean,
Pressure.
yeah, the pressure, posting stuff I didn't want to, just kind of like, I was just really bad at promoting myself, whether it was like tagging my sponsors in a post or talking about a sale that they're having or look at this new collection that they just released. Like I was so bad at it.
Yeah.
So bad at it.
Yeah.
Because I was just posting like my photos of the reptiles and the amphibians and the animals and the stuff, and my art and music and the stuff I was really into. But I just, for some reason, I mean, I think about it now. It's like, it's so easy. You just post this like once a week and you get paid. But
there's something deeper
I couldn't
happening.
do it. I don't know why. And that definitely relates to like the few years I was modeling full time too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was forced to change my Instagram handle from Dragon of the Darkness Flame to Niko Traubman, and that was like heartbreaking for some reason.
Oh
That
my
felt
God.
like my identity.
Yeah.
And I had to change it, and then I had to post all these selfies every day, and it just kind of like really, really turned me off to the idea of like being a social media guy. If I'm not going to compete, I got to post pictures of myself, and it was just kind of weird. So I would basically be forced to just promote myself in a way that I wasn't really into, you know?
Like the stuff we talk about when we've hung out before, like kind of everyone has their own mask they have to wear.
Totally.
So it was like, oh, I got to be something I'm not, And
Absolutely.
some people are good at that, some not so much, right? You know?
Yeah. I mean, it comes natural for some people. I mean, maybe it was because I was used to the camera always being on me all the time, just like having multiple shoots a week and just getting your photo taken every single day. You just get sick of it.
Yeah.
And I feel like because of that, it was hard for me to promote myself because I was just like, I don't want to post another damn photo of my face on this cell phone.
Yeah, totally.
So, yeah.
And then inside of yourself, while you're doing all of these things that aren't aligning with what you really want, right? This pressure is building up, and there's what's happening. Maybe in hindsight, maybe you don't know what's happening then, but like something's got to be building up because you're presenting yourself. You're having to follow these guidelines of all of these demands from the outside that really you just want to go play with some snakes, be in nature, and surf and do a couple of
I
airs.
was kind of turning myself into someone that I never thought I would have been. And I remember like when I first got signed to start modeling, my dad had a conversation with my manager, and I was young. I started when I was like 17, about to turn 18. And I mean, I was a little kid, and my dad just said to my manager, he was like, please, whatever you do, don't take Niko into the champagne and cigarette lifestyle. And he goes, absolutely, I promise, he's in good hands. And then I get a credit card,
Pop the champagne,
maxes out at like
get a pack
15.
of cigarettes.
I've never had a credit card. Drinking age is like, 18 in Europe, and it was just game over after that. I was just like, I'm gonna get a pack of cigarettes and a nice bottle of champagne, and then I exploded.
You exploded. And then what was were you not telling your parents what was happening when you were over there? Were you kind of downplaying it a little bit, or were you just...
Absolutely. I lied to everybody.
Of course, right?
It's funny because when I was in high school, I put on this weird front that I was this perfect goody two shoes kind of like straight edge punk, and I didn't cuss, I didn't drink, I didn't smoke, but damn, I was obsessed with the fact of getting like, are we allowed to cuss on here?
Yeah,
That word?
of course.
Yeah. I was obsessed with the fact of getting fucked up. Even though I was sober, my brain was already there. Like I was lying, straight up lying to people that I mean, I was sober. and I
Wait, so
was a
wait,
good
hold
boy.
on. So you're literally, you got the straight edge. This is how you're presenting yourself, and there's part of you maybe that wanted that, but also underneath, there's this whole other narrative happening inside of you of like, I want to get fucked up. I want to do
A
these things.
huge portion of my mind was constantly thinking, and just maybe it's because I felt left out. All my friends were doing it. It had nothing to do with peer pressure. It was all my decision. But it's such a trip thinking about how much I would trick myself into thinking that I was never going to drink ever again. But damn, that's all I would
Why
think
did
about.
you make that? Why was that something you decided, you think?
I think I knew that I already had a problem.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Because I did experiment with alcohol earlier in high school, and I just remember I loved it so much.
Mm-hmm.
I was so
So you consciously were like, I like that too much. I'm not going to do that, and then I'm going to be this
at
way.
a very early age, like
Wow.
very young.
And you were right.
Yeah, I guess so, but I didn't really know, like, I mean, the word alcoholic or addict when you're 16 years old,
Yeah.
that's not me, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it totally was. Even the first time I drank when I was like 13 years old, it was me and two of my friends, and his dad was like asleep one night, and he had a stash of Mike's Hard Lemonades, and we all took 3, and we were walking around the block, and my friends were all like
Sipping.
taking a sip, but then spitting it out.
Oh, why?
Yeah, because they were good boys.
They're good boys. So they're like, okay, yeah. got
Yeah,
it. And
but-
yours is pounded.
And I was drinking it, and
Yeah.
they were spitting it out, which just sounds super weird, but and I was the only one drinking it, and they would like pretend that they were buzzed or something, but I remember like actually getting drunk.
And what was that like? Like, did you tell yourself anything? Or were you like, oh, I like this?
I remember having a great time. I remember. Yeah, I don't know. I was so young though. I think I was like 12 or 13.
Yeah, same.
And
That's
just-
my story too.
And I didn't touch it for years after that.
Yeah.
But the fact that I was the only one actually, swallowing this
Totally.
stuff, like, yeah, I mean, yeah, just it's interesting.
Yeah, and then so like the way I'm seeing it is like, so then you have this time in high school where you're straight edge. You have this other place inside that's just irking to try it, right? And then
And
then
I would shame kids too.
oh, you would?
Yeah.
You'd project
I
your,
would. I
yeah,
would be
yeah.
like, I do not want to hang out with you guys because you are drinking beer and you are smoking cigarettes and smoking pot. That's not me. That's not what I'm about. And you guys, it's going to catch up to you in the future.
Wow.
Shame on you.
Wow.
I would like fully shame my friends for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
Little did I know I was the one who was going to have the
Yeah.
the problems in the future. And they're all fine now.
Totally.
Yeah.
So, and then you have this part of you that's straight edge, this part of you that wants to get into it, and then you have this pressure. There's pressure, like as you're coming, you know what I mean? Like somehow, I mean,
Totally.
do you think that the thing we talked about, the dynamic where you just wanted to be in nature and surf on your own and not have all this cameras on you, do you think that the buildup of that was part of the reason you started to get loaded? Or why do you think that you made the switch?
It came on really strong. It was basically like right after I graduated high school. I don't know. I think a lot of it was just being able to get it, having access. I mean, I was traveling the world at 18 years old by myself with a credit card. My parents are back at home, on the other side of the planet, and I was like, I can do whatever I want. But I went hard, like right when I started. It wasn't like I started with a beer here and a shot here, and like it was just like game on, blacking out, like starting a whole new fire and horrible chapter of my life. And it was fun. It was very fun. In the beginning, it was awesome. You know, being by myself, I mean, like when I'm alone and I'm in this foreign country where nobody speaks English, like in my mind, I was like, what else am I going to do? I'm just sitting in my apartment when it's raining outside and there's a bar down the street. I'm going to go get wasted and try to meet some people, you know?
Right.
And it worked out. And I met some amazing people doing it. And I mean, I did not know it was going to be to that extent. But right when I started drinking, I kind of knew that I was a heavy drinker, you know.
There's some potential for it to go south.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
And it did.
It sure did.
Are you open to, I think what's happening for me is I want to hear about what kids are going through these days. But before that, maybe if you're open, kind of talk about your journey from when you got into it and it was fun and then became not so fun.
Right. I don't think, I mean, there were occasions where it was fun, but I think when it really started turning into a habit, like when I knew that something was off in my head was when I started using by myself, you know, when I would get wasted by myself and I would start drinking in the mornings or something, or I don't know. It is kind of a blur, honestly.
Yeah, totally.
I was drunk during that whole period.
When you were modeling and traveling around?
No, I wouldn't say the whole time I was drunk. I mean, there was, you know, I had to look good. I had to look decent, but it did hit a point where I remember I got really drunk one night, and I think the thing that hit me the most was when I did a shoot and everybody in the comments, like someone posted it and everyone in the comments was like, wow, that dude looks strung out. He looks tired. Wow. He looks wasted. He looks like insane in that. And then people were like texting me like, I saw those photos. Are you okay? And
what happened for you when you saw those comments and people were texting you?
That kind of, I don't know, that made me feel pretty bummed because I knew I had a big responsibility the next day, you know, and it's a perfect example of my addiction and alcoholism is I only thought I was going to go out for 1 or 2 drinks and then go to bed early, and then I go to bed at 6 a.m. and wake up at 8, you know, and then there's a lot of times like that, too many to count. And that was a good example when I knew I had a problem. I mean, I know, my 21st birthday, holy moly, that was, that was crazy. So my dad, for my birthday, got me tickets to the Belly Up to see this cool band called Earthless.
Earthless, yeah. Izzy.
Yep.
He's one of our guys. Yeah.
Yep. It's pretty ironic because that was. And
now it's full circle. You're here with Izzy. Okay.
Yep. Yeah. It's hilarious. Yeah. Basically, I mean, long story short, caused a huge scene in that venue. 21st birthday, just showed up to the gig. Wasted. Bunch of my friends were there. I should have just said no way, I'm already just destroyed. And I ended up getting so wasted. I was doing that like classic drunk wobble walk, and I feel an arm right here and one arm here.
Security.
I was like, whoa, you guys are wearing matching shirts. That's crazy. They're like, yeah, all right, haha, get out of here. And I was like, wait, what are you talking about? It's my birthday. And I remember feeling so guilty. I was like, no, I can just sit down, have a glass of water, like I'm all good. They're like, nope, we don't give a shit. It's your birthday. Get out of here. And they kicked me out. And then people were outside just kind of checking in on me, and I just remember just throwing a like a temper tantrum outside of this show.
Mm-hmm.
And I just started calling people like, I need a ride home. They just kicked me out. It was the worst day of my life. And all of a sudden, like, five of my girlfriend at the time, my best friend, a couple other of my friends, they all drove because I just called everybody up to come pick me up.
Mm-hmm.
And I just ran away and just sat in this like nursery down the street, and I was just sitting there, and then everyone just saw me like crying. They're like, I know it's your 21st birthday, but like you get drunk like this all the time.
Oh.
And when I heard that, I was just like, dang, maybe I do have a problem. Yeah, that was definitely a wake-up call. I laugh about it now because I started going to, right when I got sober, I started going to AA meetings at the Belly Up, and I swear to God, everybody recognized me.
The same place, right?
Yeah, because oh my God, I exploded in there. I caused a scene.
Yeah. What made you like start to get sober, to get off the sauce? Okay, let's say 21, you have this experience and you kind of keep going a little bit, right? After 21, progresses.
Yeah, I didn't stop at all after. There are multiple wake-up calls before that too. I wouldn't say the right word is I got forced into sobriety, but I honestly kind of got it the easy way because of rehab. Pandemic, freshly new relationship. A friend of ours let us stay in his house in the east side of LA, and me and this girl that started dating, and we kind of bonded over alcohol, and we were locked up in this house for most of the pandemic, and we couldn't do anything. So we literally, like, there was one point where I was drinking 30 beers a day with a little hard liquor on the side, maybe like a fifth of Jack Daniels or some tequila or something. I was drinking a lot. It was the most I've ever drank. That's when it just got dark, It was the pandemic. We couldn't do anything. I couldn't go surfing. I couldn't go on a hike. I didn't have any outlet. So I just became obsessed with just passing time with substances, So, yeah, it just got to the point where I would just wake up and I'd just be sitting in my bed, just staring at the ceiling, to the point where my girlfriend was just so like, I'm going to call your mom, like you're suicidal, like you're depressed. All you do is drink and stare at the ceiling every single day. And it was like that for weeks and weeks and weeks. And then came to the point where we just got in this huge fight and ended up like being endangered to myself. And I got 5150'd. And at first I was just in this like drunken, hungover haze. And I remember seeing a fire truck pull up to the house, and I was like, what the heck did you do? Did you call the cops on me? And she was like, no, I don't know. I think they're just checking in on us. And then I saw 3 cops pull up in an ambulance. I was like, you're lying to me. She's like, it's okay. They're just going to help you out. They're going to, make sure you're all good. You're kind of scaring me today. And I was like, oh, hell no. So I just booked it, and I tried to run away from them.
Wow.
In this house, it was a fence it was just a lawn with a fence, and then there was this super tall bamboo around the perimeter of the fence. And I remember trying to hop this fence, but the bamboo wouldn't let me through. I was going to literally hop into someone's backyard, just book it away. I don't know where I was going. I was just like away from these scary people. And at that point, it was already too late. They were already in the house. And I remember just kind of sitting on the grass, looking up and just going, this isn't what a normal happy person does. This is a little extreme. It's really gotten to this point. And I just turned around and I'm like, I guess it's time to get some help. I'm not really digging this lifestyle. And I had no idea what a 5150 was at this point, but she 5150'd me.
And sorry, just for anyone who is listening, 5150s, you're going to the psych ward, which is better than jail because you get to smoke cigarettes at least, right?
My psych ward was a jail. Mine was terrible. And that was the biggest wake-up call of my entire life, still to this day. I mean, when shit's going downhill, I just think about sitting in that small baby blue room in Pasadena.
I've been there.
My shoes were falling off, because they take
Things
your
are not looking
away.
so good for me now.
Yeah, so I didn't know, and my girlfriend didn't know that I was going to go to a psych ward. I was supposed to just go to the hospital for 72 hours, and they're going to, kick me out.
So were you angry at her for doing that when you ended up at the psych ward?
I was angry at first until I went to I wouldn't say angry. I feel like what she did was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. Because, I mean, after that, if I didn't go to the hospital, I would be dead. Right. Hands down. I mean, I was ready to die, and I didn't care at all. So in the moment, I was mad, but yeah, thank you for calling that number, because if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be sharing these stories. I wouldn't be helping other people. And I'm very, very grateful for her for calling that number, And that was the best thing that has ever happened to me. And it happened to be when my life was at rock bottom,
Yeah. Wow.
So
it's powerful.
Yeah.
And then, so you went to so then you got out of there and you checked into an inpatient facility.
So basically I went to the hospital, and then I went to the psych ward for, I think, 2 weeks, a week or two. It was all haze, but yeah, I was there for a while. And then I went to Casa Palmera, and I didn't even want to leave that place. That place was so awesome. That place was so cool. And yeah, I made some great friends there, some great connections. My sponsor, I met him there because he was working as a counselor at the time. He was just working there. And yeah, I made some really, really amazing friends there. And unfortunately, like, the one downside that I have with or just in general, the downside about being like in AA and in the program and going to meetings is you meet all these amazing people, and they don't necessarily have the same common interests in you. Maybe they don't surf, and maybe they don't really like going on hikes or camping or whatever. Maybe we don't have art and music in common, but at the end of the day, we all have this similar story of being an alcoholic and an addict and being mentally unstable and very confused about this weird world. And you really, really, really can have some really awesome conversations with people.
Totally. They say it, right? It's like, imagine being on a cruise ship, and the cruise ship sinks, and everybody's in the water, and then a bunch of people pile onto a lifeboat, and they're saved on this lifeboat. The camaraderie that happens through the process of not dying from the sinking ship creates these bonds that are lifelong, regardless of our differences, right?
Absolutely. And on the other side of it, meeting all these amazing people, we all share that trait or disease of addiction.
Right.
And you get so close with people and so vulnerable, especially at these meetings when you're just spewing your guts out of, your personal history. And a lot of people relapse. I've met a lot of amazing people who dedicated their lives to AA. And then the next week, they're committing suicide or overdosing. And that's the sad part about the addiction is,
Yeah.
I mean, there's people with 20 years who relapse and die a week later,
Yep.
and it's heartbreaking. And you meet a lot of cool people and you lose a lot of cool people. So yeah, coping with death these days is pretty confusing to me, when you lose that many people.
Yeah. 100%. I'm right with you on it, which kind of leads into the next thing, right? So you went to this treatment center, excuse me, and then you kind of bounce around, kind of in and out for a little bit, right? Kind of in and out, back into recovery, back out of recovery. And that's my story.
When it comes to relapse?
Yeah, relapse. It's like you're on the path and you're off the path.
Yeah. The longest, I was sober off alcohol for 3 years. Whatever it is, sober or not, if I'm not working a tight program, I get addicted to something.
Right. Phone, porn, food, whatever it is. Right?
Yeah. There was a point where I literally was spending thousands of dollars on just going camping, ruining my relationship with my family and friends because I was going out to the desert every other day. I was blowing all my money because that was an escape. That's as much of an escape as it gets, just driving to the middle of nowhere to avoid everything that's going on here,
Right.
I got so addicted to that shit.
Yeah.
I was just running away.
That's kind of the definition of the addiction,
Absolutely,
right?
Absolutely, yeah.
It's like I'm trying to use something to not have to. It's making my life unmanageable, right? They talk about that in 12-step, right? Whatever. How do I know if I'm an addict? Well, do you tell yourself you're not going to do it and then end up doing it? Yes, cool. Does it make your life unmanageable? What does that mean? It means that do you not take care of your bills? Do you not take care of your relationships? The same things you're saying right over. And not only that, are your emotions unmanageable? Yeah, I'm overwhelmed with anxiety and depression and anger and rage and fear and all those things. And they might have this problem that other people have, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's like walk that game. What's that game?
Whack-a-mole.
Whack-a-mole.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, exactly. I got the cocaine. Fuck, there's alcohol, there's weed, there's porn, there's this, like all
and that's been the hardest part about recovery is just I don't think anybody's 100% recovered, right. But I definitely struggle with those external addictions or those addictions that aren't related to alcohol and drugs. It's camping, it's surfing. Surfing people say is a healthy addiction, It's like, that's awesome, Niko, you're addicted to surfing again and you're not on cocaine or you're not drinking yourself to death. That's awesome. It's just for me, yes, it's not like bad for my body and soul, but I'm surfing 4 times a day to avoid going to fucking work.
Yes, totally. Yeah.
I am unemployed because I am surfing all day, every day.
Yeah.
Or I'm going on a hike. I'm going on a 20-mile hike.
Yeah.
So I don't have to go to work or I don't have to be responsible, It's
Well, and then maybe you could, if you're willing, I know we kind of talked about this before and you get your alcohol, you get your drugs, you got your weed, you got these things. And then this thing jumps in the equation, kratom, right? And it's you kind of were on the spearhead of this, right? And it's very innocent. It's very, the way I've heard about it, because I was heroin and all that stuff. And if it was around when I was getting loaded in that capacity, it would have been there. But it's so innocent of a thing, right? They sell it at 7-Eleven.
I've done a lot of different kinds of drugs in my in my whole life. I've experimented quite a bit, and kratom hands down was my favorite drug. And I feel like it was a big part of why I stayed sober from alcohol is because I fell in love with something new and better and something I can use during the day and be productive. And this kratom stuff, it's labeled as an herbal plant supplement that athletes take, and it's a replacement for antidepressants and SSRIs. And I started taking it. I found it on accident. They sell these little bottles at 7-Eleven, these little blue bottles. And, man, these things were a miracle drug for me. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to ditch my meds. I'm like, these meds don't do anything. All they do is make me tired. And it was labeled as an herbal plant supplement sponsoring some college football team.
Yeah.
And I was sober, and I was like, oh, this sounds awesome. And I read the bag, it said kava and kratom, and I was like, all right, kratom, that's harmless. They sell it everywhere. What's different? Why is this any different than taking drinking caffeine, you know?
Right.
I don't see a difference. And I drank it, and oh my God, I was in heaven. I was so happy. It was the first time I was like, oh my gosh, finally a medication that works for me. I was focused. I was just as social as I would be from drinking. I was, cleaning, organized, shooting emails, painting, making music. Like, God, I was in heaven.
Right.
It was everything I needed. It was a stimulant for me. So it would just like this smooth flow of energy through my body all day. And so at that point, I started taking it every day, and it was awesome until 2 weeks into it. And these things are expensive, $10 a pop. They're a lot of money, and I didn't have money for it. And because of that, I'm like, all right, this is expensive. I mean, it is kind of saving my life right now, but I can't afford it, so I need to take a break from it. And as soon as I stopped taking it, I just started sweating. I was freezing cold. My butt, like kratom withdrawal, it feels like your bones just turn to lava.
Yeah.
Like your bones are burning, and your back hurts, and you're constipated, and your head hurts, and you get anxious and depressed. It's like that for days. And I remember the second day of withdrawing, I was just like, I'm not going through this. I have too much shit to do.
Let's get some more.
Let's get some more. So I got some more, and I basically got stuck in this kratom trap for a year and a half. And it came to the point where, I mean, I've tried to, I quit cold turkey probably 10 times in a year and a half, maybe more. That's how bad I wanted to get off of this stuff. But these withdrawals were so bad. I would it got to the point where my tolerance was so high, I would have to drink 6 to 10 of these a day. And I didn't even feel it.
That's just getting you back to ground zero.
Barely to ground zero.
Right.
I would take it every hour. And I mean, this stuff is potent. It makes you throw up. It makes you smell bad. It makes you just, it's just this.
It's like heroin.
It's this soup. It's this thick dirt soup with stevia in it. And it's just like the worst shit ever. The thick yellow sludge. It's just like that Pokemon muck, the like purple blob.
Yeah.
That's what it reminds me of. Just this like swamp monster that just like, come back down with us. Come back to the muck.
What?
It's good.
Like what? That should be their ad. Swamp monster, come back in.
Come back.
Come back to us. We won't make you sick this time. What, like, okay, so I'm always curious about, like, some people say addiction is like, oh, it's genetic. It's just whatever. And there's probably some truth to that. But I'm always like, my whole view on it is like, a lot of times I got loaded or get loaded because I don't want to feel something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like in between these relapses where you kicked it and you're kind of like still, and then before you get loaded again, because you said you tried, what are the emotions that are happening for you as to why you start again?
I would start again because I would remember the positive benefits of it.
Which is what? Like the positive benefit is that you're not having to feel a certain way. What is the way you didn't want to feel?
It was like a perfect ADD medication for me.
You
It's
could
like
focus.
It's the same thing as like if someone with ADHD is taking Adderall and it works for them perfectly fine and it saves their life.
Right.
You know?
And so wait, so
That's how
I
it
don't
is.
mean to interrupt, but it's like I want to give some context to people out there that like is that the benefit of doing this thing, which is not a benefit because it comes back and bites you in the ass, is what I'm saying is it would make sense you would want to use it again, because as soon as you stop, your ADHD kicks in, your anxiety kicks in, your depression kicks in, all of
Right.
these deep emotions kick in, and there's no way to really deal with them. It's easier just to go get the quick fix again, correct?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, and every time I would relapse on this stuff was because I thought I could handle it. And
Right.
I didn't treat it like alcohol. I took it because I was tricking myself into thinking that it was saving me.
Yeah.
So I would go to the Kratom shop or the gas station or wherever to get it, and I would hold it, and this happens so many times. Like, it's mind-blowing to me how many times I relapsed off this stuff. And I would just trick myself and just really, really convince myself that I can control this on my own,
Your mind be
Like,
telling you
I
this,
would
right?
just be like, all right, this stuff does work when you do it right.
Yes, totally. This time
know?
this time
around.
okay, go. Let me say something to that, because that's so funny. When I used to do opiates, I used to kick, and I'd be like, God, day one, I'd be like, oh my God, my life's miserable. I hate this. Day two, I'm like, oh my God, I feel horrible. Day three, I'm like, I'm feeling a little bit better.
Yep.
Okay, I'm never going to do that again. Day four, I'm like, okay, I'm back. I'm never touching that thing. Day five, I always went, was it that bad? I think that I just did it wrong. I just have to grab this much and make this much
so
money. Yeah.
Stupid.
It's so crazy.
Stupid.
They call it delusion, right?
Yes.
It's like our mind, and what delusion means is we believe our own lies, right? We
Yeah.
believe, and that's the thing. I'm feeling uncomfortable. My ADD is kicking in, my anxiety, my depression, and then this voice comes in and goes, "We know how to fix that, and we know how to do it right this time. You were just dumb. You did too much, and you didn't spread it out enough, or whatever."
Yeah.
Right? So you're holding the drink, and your mind is not even in reality. It's telling you, "Oh, we'll do it different
like
this
the
time."
devil on my shoulder always
Yeah.
wins every time. It's just like, it's okay. It's
Yeah.
not that bad.
So anyways, I want to say, like, it's so awesome that you're here now in this place where you're not in active addiction.
It's about time.
Isn't that awesome? Feels good.
Feels really good.
And like, you did make it through that. You are facing yourself. You are looking at different ways to work through the ADHD, work through the anxiety, work through the depression.
Absolutely.
And what I want to talk about is the other kids out there. The kids, I call you a kid because I'm older. Is that okay?
I love it.
You know,
yeah.
younger. What do you see in the youth these days? What are the problems you're noticing?
I feel like a lot of kids that I know, they tend to pretend that everything's okay because it's not very manly of us to speak up about what's going on in our brains. A lot of people I know have this fuck it mentality, this mentality of something horrible happened to me at work, but fuck it, whatever. Just thug it out, you know?
Strap it up, push it down, and
yeah.
everything's okay on the outside, and on the inside we just keep getting piling up more and more pain, right?
Yeah, I mean,
And so you see that a lot with your friends and the people you're around.
totally. Yeah, no, I feel like whenever I'm doing really well, it's really easy to like pick out the people who are struggling. It's like so easy to see through somebody's, you can just like kind of look through someone's soul. and
Yes.
just you can really just like tell.
Well, you've been there.
I've been there.
So you recognize
I recognize their facial expressions or
yeah.
like how overly happy they are. You know, like I'm doing great.
Right.
I'm killing it, doing so well, but you can just tell that they're lying.
Right. Know? And what do you do when you see that with someone? Do you do you try and help, or do you kind of just stay afar and wait till they come to you for help?
No, because nobody comes to anybody for help.
They don't. So that's the message right now: is the kids are struggling, and they don't know how to ask for help.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like the cool thing about this program, this help thing, is like I just want to tell everybody that it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to be a little emo wussy and talk about your dark history or your insecurities or your depression. Like, it's okay.
And is it even an emo wussy, or is that the real strength? You know what I mean?
Exactly. Like, oh my God, it feels so good to just start crying. Like, I cried yesterday for the first time in months.
You cried because, you got a job.
Yeah.
You got it. There's another thing, too, right? You get off the sauce, do some work on yourself, and good things start happening.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's definitely a domino effect. Like, once you get one thing started, something better happens, another good thing happens, and all these like weird small connections start, this puzzle just kind of gets put together slowly. And
okay, let me ask you a question.
Okay.
If you are a kid and you're struggling with substances, or you're struggling with mental health, what do you need from your parents? What's the healthiest thing you could get?
Hope.
In which way? What does that look like? Because a lot of times I see parents get scared and they try and control or manage, right? They try and like, does that help?
I know you told me not to like bring up my own story.
I said you don't have to, but dude,
I'd like to talk about this because the biggest, I love my family. I love my family so much.
They are awesome.
They're the best.
This isn't about making anybody bad in any kind of way, right?
Not at all. But when they kicked me out of the house and I was homeless and I was sleeping in my car that barely ran, that wasn't a good feeling at all. Letting down your parents to the point where they're like, you're out. Let me know when you got your shit together. That hurt. That hurt a lot.
But did it help?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the thing. Yeah. Okay, sorry. Go. I didn't mean to cut you off. So,
At the end of the day, knowing that feeling of losing your family, my friends didn't even want to hang out with me either. And I was just by myself, sleeping in a Walmart parking lot, begging people for money for a pack of cigarettes, or lying where the money would go and I'd buy more Kratom. Mm-hmm. That is, like, thinking back on that now, it just makes my skin crawl, It's the worst feeling ever. But overall, them kicking me out, getting the boot, it really changed everything. Because the last thing I want is to be disowned from my family. And it happened once before I got 5150'd. And then it happened, 5-6 months ago. I lost my girlfriend. I lost my friends. I lost my family. And I don't want that to happen again. And I think that's the best thing they ever could have done for me.
Right. And the most terrifying, probably, because that needs to be named as well. The reason why, isn't it so weird that the thing that helps the most is setting a boundary that a parent would think, my son doesn't think I love him anymore or something. You know what I mean? Like, there's like a boundary that's set that's terrifying, because imagine being a parent.
I was just about to say, I always tell parents, because parents tend to talk to me a lot about their kids because they know my past. I tend to tell a lot of people about my story, so they always call me for advice, and it's really, really hard to tell them this because there's a 50-50 chance
something might happen.
That something would happen. They either figure their shit out and they're like, okay, I lost everything. It's time to change. It's time to, figure my shit out, get my life together. I need to either go to AA, I need to check myself in somewhere, because at this point, I'm not doing this for anyone else but myself. Let me restart that.
I know what you're saying.
I'm basically saying there's a 50-50 chance of survival where if
you
they
might
get kicked out, they're either going to flourish, get their shit together, know exactly what they have to do to get their friends and family back, or they're going to do more drugs till they die, commit suicide, overdose.
Yeah, and almost blame
disappear.
the parents. Like I told you, you shouldn't have done that to me, right?
I mean, when I was in that position, I mean, at first I was just like, how dare you? How dare you kick your son out and put him on the streets? That's the worst thing a parent could ever do. My heart was crushed.
Right.
And I was blaming it all on them. And then cycling back, I'm like, makes a lot of sense. I've been a bum for the past 2 years.
Yeah.
I haven't been in the AA program. I haven't been going to therapy. I haven't been doing any spiritual work. I've just been treating my body like shit.
Yep.
Physically and spiritually. So after just rotting in my car for that long, it really, I really got to put myself in their shoes, and I understood exactly why they did that.
Right.
So
isn't that the most terrifying thing as a parent to have to take that risk?
That's a huge
But you're
risk.
not helping. Like if you're my son and you've proven over and over that by me letting you stay and not setting a boundary that that's more of a chance of killing you.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're just gonna you're
do
not
the
gonna
same
do
thing.
totally.
I wasn't doing shit.
Yeah, I don't know if you know this about me, but the same thing happened. I remember because my mom, she's like would nurse me or whatever. I came home one day and all of my stuff was out on the front patio, and I was just like something switched inside of me. Right? It was like no longer. Now it's on me, and it was I didn't stay off the sauce after that. I had more, but something switched.
Right.
You know what I mean? I was on the path towards, I guess you'd call it self-responsibility. But anyways, my point in that was just talking about how terrifying it is for parents these days. And that I feel like the majority of parents are going in the wrong direction. They're not willing to take the risk to set the boundaries. And it's having an impact on the young kids these days, right?
Totally.
Because how could you expect a kid that's already lost in their own way to set a boundary with their parents and say, don't take care of me anymore so I can get clean? Like that's essentially what's happening in the world right now.
Yeah.
So I think it's so freaking cool that you have made it through. Instead, you didn't make it out, you make it through to face yourself in a deep way. And I want to continue to have you in here and bring some other youth in.
Totally.
And maybe we can hold space for them to get, feel safe enough to express their process. And also it would be good to have some parents in here and hear their side.
Yeah, that would
maybe
be
even
pretty
your
cool.
parents.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I mean? I think that would be super powerful.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they were introduced to Al-Anon, and I think the hardest part with like my story too is like my mom understands addiction. She has her own past of her younger life, but my dad has no idea. He has no idea what it's like to be a true addict.
Totally.
So him going to these Al-Anon meetings, he's kind of got this new he is understanding more.
Right. Well, and I want to say something in case any parents out there are listening to this too, is Al-Anon is so important because what that does is provide support for the parents to trust that it's out of their hands, right? If a parent is all alone and you don't have any kind of support group, you have no spirituality, then it's terrifying what's happening to the kid. If you go to Al-Anon, you'll understand that they're actually offering the same solution as you want your kid to take. You know what I mean?
Absolutely,
and so many times
yeah.
parents are like, I want my kid to do all these things. Me, I don't know. I'm fine. I worked in treatment for so long. The kid would come in and me as the therapist or whatever, would look at each other and go, we got the wrong person in here. We need the parents in here. The parents are the ones that are terrified, and the terror is being projected onto the kid, right? Okay, so is there anything, we're getting close here on time, and is there any message you want to give to the kids, to the young humans your age that are struggling and are afraid? And right now, Niko, there's a kid in his house terrified to go outside, terrified to talk about his creative addiction, terrified to talk about his depression or his anxiety. Maybe he wants to commit suicide. He has parents that don't understand him. What do you want to him or her? What do you want to say to them?
Life is very, very, very confusing. It's hard to kind of understand what the purpose of being here is all about. So just know that you are not alone, right? People are just as confused about this whole humanity thing. So you're not alone, and don't be afraid to ask for help.
Yeah, that's even just you saying that was just such a good reminder. I forget. I'm like, okay, good. He's crazy. I'm crazy.
Yeah,
crazy
exactly.
Together.
Everybody is socially awkward. Everyone has anxiety. If they don't, they're just pretending. So
that's great. So the message is, you're not alone. Reach out to Portal.
Yeah,
we have
absolutely.
resources, and I want to thank you, Niko, for taking your time and bringing your authenticity. And I think just this is the beginning of an amazing journey together, and just to watch you go through what you're going through and expand. And I want you to know we're here for you all the way, and we love you.
Yeah, I love you too. Thank you so much.
All right.
This is great.
All right, you guys, take it easy.